Hello everyone, and welcome back to exercise number 53 of the SolidWorks basic tutorial series. In this video, we're going to be designing a 3-arm mounting hub. As always, in designing this part within SolidWorks, we're going to be using many of the SolidWorks features, namely the extrude boss base feature and extrude cut feature, but also, specifically to this problem, we're going to be using the circular pattern tool to create these 3 radial arms. Here we see the schematic drawing for exercise number 53. All dimensions are in millimeters. If you zoom in closely, we see that the unit system is set to millimeters, grams, seconds. We have the isometric view, the trimetric view. These are two pictorial views showcasing the component at 2 different angles. We have the top view and we have the front view. And of course, we have a question here at the bottom that reads, what is the mass of this part in grams? And we will only accept answers that within the tolerance of plus or minus 1 gram. Of course, we also have a set of instructions here, which are pretty self-explanatory. And the end goal will be to determine the mass of this part. So step 1 will be to create the part in your 3D CAD system. Step 2 will be to assign the material. And step 3 would be to estimate the mass of the component. All right, so in designing this part, we're going to be following a feature-driven approach. The first step will be to sketch out the 2D profile for the base right here. And we can see that in the top view. So we can see that we have 3 circles, 1, 2, and 3. Connected by 3 tangent lines, creating a triangle with rounded out edges. After that, we're going to use the extrude boss base tool to create the thickness. Step 2 would create this cylinder right here. So for that, we're just going to draw a circle from this point all the way to the edge. Automatically, it's going to be 64 millimeters, with a diameter of 64 millimeters. And then we're going to work on creating the opening, but the opening in this case has a keyway. All right, so please keep that in mind. So we're going to sketch a circle and then create the keyway. And then use the extrude cut tool, and the hole here goes all the way through the component. We can see here that we have a hidden line that goes all the way through to the other side. And finally, we're going to work on creating these 3 radial arms. Of course, we're just going to work on creating one of them and then use the circular pattern tool to create the other 2 copies. And finally, we're going to add some final touches. We have these 2 counterbore holes. We can either use the hole wizard to create them, or the more intuitive approach would be to draw 2 concentric circles and then use the extrude cut tool twice. Also, we have these three boss features on the radial arms. So we're just going to create one of them and then use the circular pattern tool to create the others. And we're going to finally, we're going to round out certain edges. So here, using the fillet tool, we have 4 edges. We have this edge, and then these 3 edges. And we have a note here that says, unless you do otherwise, all fillets have radius of 4 millimeters. All right. So please, don't assume that since I didn't add the fillet radius right here, that we have a missing dimension. No, we have a note here that already states that all fillets have a radius of 4 millimeters. Okay, so hopefully we have no missing dimensions in this schematic drawing. Okay, so with that aside, let's get started with exercise number 53. Okay, so to start, let's create a new SolidWorks part by pressing the Control N key. Let's set the background to plain white, and then let's copy exercise number 53 into SolidWorks. Let's drag this upwards and then make it smaller. Okay, so as I said previously, step 1 would be to sketch out the 2D profile for the base of the component. So to do that, select the top plane, sketch, and then we're going to activate the circle tool by pressing the right mouse button and then dragging my cursor to the right, all right? And then drawing one circle, and then we have another circle right here. Activate the Smart Dimension tool. For this larger circle here, the diameter is 64 millimeters. So this is 64. For the circle at the bottom, we have a radius of 20 millimeters. So this is 20. A radius of 20, so it's a diameter of 40. All right, so the horizontal distance from one circle to the next is 80 millimeters. And since this circle lies right in the middle, the horizontal distance from this point to this point is 40 millimeters. All right. As for the vertical distance from the center of this circle to the center of this circle, it's 45 millimeters. So this is 45. Now let's just activate the center line tool and then draw a vertical center line. Press the S key, select mirror entities, and what we want to do is we're going to mirror this circle along this vertical line. Click OK. Now what we're going to do is simply just close off the figure using tangent lines. So activate the line tool and draw a couple of tangent lines. That's 1, 2, and 3. Just make sure that the line is tangent to the circle. Tangent, tangent. Okay, so these are tangent. Now just activate the trim entities tool and then delete any extra curves, leaving behind the 2D profile for the base right here. Now just press the S key, extrude boss base. And looking at the front view, we see that the base here has a thickness of 25 millimeters. So enter a thickness of 25 and then click OK. All right, so that creates the base of the component. Now let's move on to creating this cylinder right here, this protruding cylinder. So click on this surface, sketch, activate the circle tool. And from this point all the way to the outer edge, we draw a circle. By default, this is going to be 64. All right. So now just press the S key, extrude boss base, and we're going to extrude this according to the drawing here from 60 minus 25. Why 60 minus 25? The overall height here from this top edge all the way to the bottom is 60. And then we have the thickness of this base plate. So it's 60 minus 25. All right. And then click OK. Now what we want to do is we're going to work on creating these radial arms. And the strategy here, like I said previously, is to just create one of them and then use the circular pattern tool to create the other two copies. And instead of creating a new drawing plane that is at a distance from this top plane and then sketching out, what we're going to do is we're just going to select the top plane, sketch, and then we're going to sketch out this 2D profile and perform an offset extrusion, right? An offset extrusion from the bottom plane corresponding to the top plane at a distance of 36 millimeters, all right? So just select this face, convert entities, activate the circle tool, and we can see here that we have a circular region with a diameter of 40 millimeters. So just make sure that the circle that you're drawing is directly overhead with respect to the origin. Activate the Smart Dimension tool. This needs to be 40 millimeters. Set the relation between this point and the origin as vertical. And as for the distance, we see that we have a pitched circle with a diameter of 150 millimeters. So the distance between this point and this point, right, is 150 divided by 2, which gives us the radius. All right. Now just activate the line tool and just draw a couple of lines closing off the figure. Activate the trim entities tool and then delete whatever entities you don't need, just leaving behind the 2D profile for the arm. All right, so this is a 2D profile for the arm. Now just press the S key. Of course, the sketch is well defined. As you can see, all entities are black. Now just select extrude boss base. And instead of extruding from this 2D sketch, what we're going to do is set the condition as offset. All right, and we're going to basically tell SolidWorks we're going to extrude this 2D sketch starting from a certain distance. In this case, it's 36 millimeters. All right, so this is 36. So starting from 36 millimeters away from the top plane, we're going to extrude this 2D sketch to a thickness, if you look here, of 20 millimeters. All right, and then click OK. So that creates one of the arms. So what we're going to do now is work on creating the boss here. So click on this surface, sketch, activate the Smart Dimension tool, and just hover over the curve edge, waking up this center point, draw a circle, activate the Smart Dimension tool. And as we can see here, we have 2 circles with a diameter of 24. Actually, this is for the counterbore feature. If we look at this right here, sorry about that. We have 3 holes, or 3 circles, with a diameter of 26 millimeters. So this is 26. All right. And then we're going to extrude this 2D profile to a thickness of 4 millimeters. Again, you can see this on the front plane. So press the S key, extrude boss base, set the extrusion height as 4 millimeters, and then click OK. All right. Of course, we have a hole here at the top, and the hole here says that we have a diameter of 16 millimeters. So let's go ahead and create this hole. Let's draw a circle, activate the Smart Dimension tool. This should be 16. Press the S key, extrude boss base, and just make sure it doesn't, okay, then click OK. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use the circular pattern tool to create the other two copies. So press the S key, select circular pattern. For the directions, select any circular edge. In this case, select this edge. And for the features, go ahead and select the last 3 features. So 1, 2, and 3. All right. Set the number of copies as 3, and then click on this, equal spacing. So the angle automatically will be 120 degrees from one arm to the next. Click OK. All right. So now let's work on creating the opening here, this circular opening in addition to the keyway. So click on this surface, sketch, activate the circle tool, and starting from this origin, draw a circle, Smart Dimension, and if we look closely here, we have, for this hole here, the radius is 20 millimeters. So the diameter here needs to be 40. All right. Here, go ahead and select midpoint line. All right. And directly overhead from the origin, just draw a horizontal line. All right. As you can see here, the distance from this edge all the way to the center is 24 millimeters. So activate the Smart Dimension tool. The distance from this edge, this point to this edge, is 24 millimeters. Select this point and this origin, set the relation as vertical. Now just activate the line tool, or before that, let's activate the Smart Dimension tool and set the length of this edge as 5 millimeters. All right, why 5? Because if you look at the drawing, the width of the keyway or key slot is 5 millimeters. All right, now just activate the line tool, and from this point all the way through, just draw 2 vertical lines. That's 1 and 2. Activate these Trim Entities tool, and then delete any extra entities, leaving behind the 2D sketch for the component, or for the hole. Now just press the S key, extrude boss base, or extrude cut, sorry, and go ahead and set the end condition as through all both directions, and then click OK. All right, because this hole here, if we look at the front view, goes all the way through the component, okay? All right, so now let's just work on creating the counter bore holes for the bottom plate. Again, we can use the hole wizard, but what I'm going to do, a more intuitive approach, is to draw 2 concentric circles and then use the extrude cut tool twice. Anyway, so activate the circle tool and draw 2 circles, 1 and 2. Select these 2 circles and set the relation as equal. Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and if we look closely here, for this larger circle, we have a diameter of 24 millimeters. So this needs to be 24. Actually, this is 25, this is 24. Okay. Then we're going to use the extrude cut tool, but if you look closely here, we have a cut depth of 6 millimeters. All right. So press the S key, extrude cut, enter, or actually just set the end condition as blind, and then select 6. All right, and then click OK. Now just click on this surface, sketch, activate the circle tool again, and then draw 2 circles, 1 and 2. Set the relation between these 2 circles as equal. Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and if we look at the drawing, we see that we have a diameter of 14 millimeters. So this needs to be 14. Press the S key, extrude cut, and very simply just drag this to the outside right here. All right, and then click OK. All right, are we done now? No, there are certain edges we can fill out. We have 4 edges. We have this edge, these 3 edges here at the top. Okay, so that in total we have 4. And as for the fillet radius, we have a note here that says all fillets have a radius of 4 millimeters. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press the S key, select fillet, set the fillet radius as 4, and then proceed by selecting these 4 edges, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then click OK. So that completes the modeling process. Let's go ahead and delete this image. Let's go, and now let's assign a material, edit material. The material that we're going to be using is alloy steel. Apply, close. And now for the moment of truth, just click on the Evaluate tab and then select Mass Properties. The final mass of the component, as you can see here, is 2,876.57 grams. 2,876.57 grams. If you want to round things up, it could be 2.87 kilograms. All right, so that is our final answer. Okay, so that concludes exercise number 53. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. Also, guys, I've noticed that you subscribe and follow to my Facebook page, but you don't subscribe to my YouTube page. I'm on YouTube. I have most of my activity is on YouTube, okay? So if you follow me on Facebook, please follow me on YouTube as well. It would be a big support, and I really appreciate it. Until we meet again, I'll see you all in exercise number 54. Bye-bye.